What does the moment of doom look like for those who don't know God? It will be sudden and terrifying. It will be without remedy. And today we're going to look at a foreshadowing of that in Joshua chapter 8. This is Eric Slawick, the UW and Penn guy, and this is the Bible commentary. As always, if you like what you're seeing, I'd ask that you hit like and subscribe in order to help the channel grow. And now, without further ado, let's get into the Word. So, we are going today to look at the fall of Ai. And in some ways, this will be a parallel video to the one I made at the end of chapter 6. Because we have two cycles here of preparation, victory, defeat, victory. And these cycles end with the doom of the ungodly. And so we're going to look at verses 18 through 23. So let us read verses 18 through 19. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Stretch out the javelin that is in your hand toward Ai, for I will give it into your hand." And Joshua stretched out the javelin that was in his hand toward the city, and the men in the ambush rose quickly out of their place. And as soon as he had stretched forth his hand, they ran and entered the city and captured it. And they hurried to set the city on fire. So here to go back briefly to the idea of leadership. Joshua's being a leader here again. You see him again at the head of everything. This is why people follow him. This is why they respect him. This is the essence of good leadership, is that you're out there in front, risking your life or working and taking whatever hazards everyone else has to work and take. And so we can see here another example of Joshua's javelin is like Moses' staff. I believe this is the only time it's used. So this is less frequent or emphatic than Moses. And so it's a symbol of, therefore, military leadership and authority. He is almost physically directing the Israelite armies towards the imminent victory. This is something of a dramatic contrast with the typical Sunday school type imagery. I'm not here to rag on Sunday school per se, but it has its limits. The Bible is a book of reality. It is a book that has some very harsh things to say. We'll see a lot more than this in the book of Judges as the judgment begins to fall on Israel again, as it had in the days of the fathers, as it's now falling on the Canaanites. And the image of the javelin can be contrasted with the original Christian image of the fish, drawn from fishers of men, and then ultimately the cross, both of which are symbols of redemption and salvation. The staff, the javelin, is an image of doom and destruction, though victory for Israel. And that's the contrast between New and Old Covenants. The Old Covenant can only bring death and doom, and the New Covenant can bring life and hope. Where Paul said that the law is holy and just, for through the law comes the knowledge of sin, judgment, condemnation. And then in the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. Also, the stretching forth of this spear is something of an image of God's power over the city itself. It's as if though God, through Joshua, is declaring, this is my city. It's always been my city. I gave you 400 years where I let you be a steward of this city and everything I gave you, and you failed so spectacularly that my patience and mercy ran out. The cup, as we saw in Genesis 15 in past videos, I believe, was now full and overflowing.